It's been quite some time since I did a tier list video, and with the release of LF Super Saiyan Goku, I think now is the perfect time to go over my current top 10 best units in the game. Now, of course, it's simply my opinion, as all tier list videos are, so if you agree or disagree, definitely let me know in the comments without calling me a moron. So let's go. I didn't really want to do an honorable mention, but fuck it, I'll throw in a few of them. Ultra Gogeta Blue, Ginyu Force minus Ginyu, spoiler, Jiren, Zamasu, Revival Frieza. I think that should be enough. Alright, so to start things off, we have at number 10, Revival Captain Ginyu. This dude is actually just ridiculous, and to think that he's the only 1% Sparky unit on this list, it's actually crazy. He just does so much, and it's pretty awesome to see a good Sparky unit. Honestly, all the Ginyu Force units are really good, and this Captain Ginyu obviously shines among them, and him being a Revival unit is absolutely crazy. Long ass combos, which is just ridiculous. He has easily the highest combo potential in the game. I don't even think it's close. But the fact that he doesn't have cover null, which is of course a minus, kind of lowers his combo potential because, you know, cover changes can stop it and whatnot. But trust me, if the stars align, you can literally combo until your opponent dies. It is not outside the realm of possibility. Now, his RNG Revival was definitely a point of concern for many people, but to be honest, unless you just get one comboed by UVB in the beginning of the match, where you don't pop the things that increase your revival chance, you're really often going to get that revival off. So it's not really a big minus, but it's something to mention. And of course, he runs well with all the best units such as Go Frieza. You can run him alongside them, and a perfect third option for them is like 17, Revival Frieza, anything like that, and it works out pretty damn well. So we have Captain Ginyu at number 10, and that's going to start things off. Now we move on to number 9, and it's going to be Ultra Rose. Now, honestly, if I'm being real, you could argue that Ultra Rose prior to the latest release was not even top 10. I'm not crazy. A lot of people actually considered him not top 10. I know I'm going to get a bunch of comments saying people saying, oh, yo, he was top 5 and all this bullshit. He wasn't, unfortunately, but, you know, it is what it is. With these Ultra units, especially popular characters, they're just going to be overvalued, right? But I do think he gained some value with the release of Super Saiyan Goku, simply being a blue unit, and then being a lot of blue units in the meta right now. So being a green unit, him being the best green unit in the game, which isn't saying much, but he's a green unit, is definitely a nice thing. But the problem is with that, is that he's in the tight situation. Even though there's a lot of blue units for him to completely destroy, there are also a lot of purple units that are really strong and can keep this guy in check, namely the Goku and Frieza. The Goku side has purple, so, you know, that's that. We have Ginyu, like I mentioned, Ultra Gogeta Blue, who's still pretty decent. I mean, pretty solid, I should say. So there's also there's just a bunch of strong purple units that can also keep this Rose in check, which is definitely a downside, right? But he protects UVB very nicely, especially with all the blue units that's going to be running around. UVB definitely needs a strong green unit to kind of protect him, so that's really good too. But another big problem with this unit is that he takes a long time to ramp up, right? He needs to ramp up his damage, his cut bend, so he needs to ramp that up. And in a meta where all these units just out the gate just completely eviscerate you, it's not ideal to have a ramp up type of unit, right? So that's something to keep in mind of. You can honestly switch around this guy and Captain Ginyu. I originally had Ultra Rose at number 10, but simply because Ultra Rose's usage rate is a lot higher than Ginyu, like a lot higher, from what I've experienced, I'm going to put him at number 9, but I have no problems with people putting Ginyu over Rose. But me personally, I have Rose over Ginyu. Next, we come at number 8, and we have Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku, Zenkai Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku, one of the best LF Zenkai units we have in the game right now. They did an absolutely phenomenal job with him. Very nice. They buffed off his tanking, which is nice. Still crazy usage alongside Go Frieza, especially with all the Zenkai buffs you can provide for them. He pairs nicely with them, as well as 17. It's just, the Unireps team is just ridiculous, and he's definitely a part of that. And even if you're not going to be using him, he's a perfect bench option because he does Zenkai buff Go Frieza, so you can have him on the bench, and if you need to, you can bring him into the battle. I was mentioning a lot of purple units, well, he's also another one that can keep Rose in check, but you're mainly going to be running double blues. And Go Frieza, of course, has the purple side, so you really don't need the double purples. But being a purple unit is actually not the worst. It's actually really good because there's not really that many strong yellow units right now. Zenkai Cell is pretty good, but you don't face him that often. The best yellow unit I can think of is definitely going to be the Gammas. They're really good. You got Raccoon and Guldo. I don't know which one. I think it's Raccoon that's yellow. I could be wrong, but I think Raccoon is yellow, so he's there too, but you don't really see the Ginyu Force that often. So, you know, it is something to keep note of. But the Zenkai UI sign is just incredible. He's good at stalling with his unique gauge. Of course, you need to be good at using his unique gauge because, you know, that's the trick with using these UI signs. You can't just let the opponent take away all your advantage and then you're done, right? But, you know, having a good way to utilize his gauge is very important. And he does ridiculous amount of damage. He does a lot of damage. His ultimate still nukes. It is definitely crazy. So we have UI Sign, Zenkai UI Sign at number 8. So the next 3 on the list are kind of tough to rank, since I would say they're all basically around the same level. So I'm going to be going through what I have them as ranked here. So number 7, I have the Gammas. Number 6, I have Sword of Hope Trunks. And number 5, I have Cell Revival Cell, not Revival Cell, but LF Perfect Form Cell, which is again another purple unit that is in the meta I forgot to mention. So there's a lot of purple units out here, but that's going to be my order. I don't really mind what order you place them in, but personally I'll go with this one. So let's just start off with number 7, which is the Gammas. Now the Gammas are absolutely incredible. They got even more value with the release of Cell. Like the Android scene right now, it is definitely super top tier, right? Being yellow is not the worst, is also not the greatest. I would say it's in like the middle, right? The only opposing threat you have is UVB, of course, but since there's so many blue units running around, you could say that UVB's usage rate is going to go down a bit, but he's definitely still used a lot. But being yellow is not a bad option, especially if you have a blue unit. For instance, these Gammas have 17, who is a perfect blue unit to cover them, so that works out really well. They do crazy damage. I'm telling you, their blast damage does insane damage. Their core breaker does crazy damage. Androids is just an amazing team right now with Cell and 17. I put them below the other two simply because their usage rate right now is not as high as the other two. Like Sword of Hope Trunks easily has the most usage out of all these 3 units I mentioned. But Cell, I would say, is definitely better than Trunks kit-wise, which is why I have them placed above. Cell can also be ran on Future as well as Androids, whereas Gammas is mainly only Androids. You're not really going to be running them on Sagas from the movies because that's more strike-oriented, so there's that. But all 3 of these units, I would say, are similarly around the same level, so this is going to be the order that I placed them. Number 6, like I said, we have Sword of Hope Trunks, and in terms of usage, that's why he's above Gammas, but kit-wise, Cell is definitely better. Being blue is definitely really good against UVB. He tanks very well against him, especially with his gauge. Basically, pretty much able to heal up all the damage he takes from UVB, unless the star difference are like completely crazy. Once you lose a teammate, he becomes literally a walking nuke. Ultimate literally destroys people and shatters their dream despite fighting for hope. He works very well with Rose and UVB. I showcased recently, I made a video on Rose where I used him alongside Sword of Hope Trunks and UVB. I don't think Sword of Hope Trunks really got that much use in that video because I was mainly focusing on Rose and UVB, but he still does insane, and like I said, his ultimate does a lot of damage. He just does a lot of damage, and overall just a really good LF Zenkai. I would say, prior to this, I would probably place UI Sign above Trunks, but I think right now, Trunks just works a lot better. He's really good. I was really hoping LF Full Power Frieza got the same treatment as Trunks and UI Sign in terms of their Zenkai, but it seems like Frieza is kind of forgotten as an LF Zenkai, which is kind of unfortunate. But Trunks at number 6, let's move on to number 5, which is going to be Perfect Form Cell. Now, this Cell is actually crazy, man. He's crazy. His gauge is crazy. AoE green card is crazy. He runs perfectly on Androids and Future, both extremely good teams, which is another reason why I have him over the Gammas, like I mentioned. He just does crazy damage. He combos for a really long time, having Cover Null very often, replenishes his gauge with his Vantage gauge with his unique gauge. It seems like you get his green card. I kind of forgot. Does he draw a green card anytime? Because I get to use a lot of green cards with him. It might be because he draws a green card at certain moments. I kind of forgot a bit, but he's just awesome to use. I only have him at 3 stars, and he was performing really well. And then his final counter is probably one of the better ones, where it like seals main, he seals the opponent in, destroys cards and all that stuff. There's really a lot of downgrades to the opponent, so that's really good. And of course, being a purple unit is definitely a upside. There's just so many purple units, it's just crazy. But this Cell, I do think they did a great job with him, other than like the animations, but you know, who cares about that at this point. But Cell is going to be at number 5. Now let's move into the top 4 units. Now for these next 4 units, I think a lot of people have varying opinions on these units. They have different placements for all of them, but this is what I believe, in my opinion, this is the ranking that I'm comfortable with. Number 4, we have LF17. Now this man is aging absolutely amazingly. Dropped in January, and he's still considered top 3 in the game, top 4, top 5, which is absolutely insane considering a couple weeks prior to his release, or maybe a month, no, I'd say a couple weeks prior, Ultra Gogeta Blue was released, and he's not even in the top 10, which is absolutely crazy. It's just that 17 does things that others don't, and that's why he's there, right? He's basically like future Gohan. He was doing all the intangible stuff, and this guy is just a perfect option for literally any team. You just throw him on the leader on any of your teams, and your team becomes absolutely crazy. Arc Spire reduction on blue and ult is stupid, heals the team, gets basically double vanish when his gauge is full. There's just a lot of things this guy offers outside of the damage, because you don't really need another damaging unit, right? He's going to be ran alongside Go Frieza, UVB, Super Saiyan Goku. You don't need this guy to do damage, right? You need him to do all the other stuff, and that's what he's doing really, really well, right? He's ran on some of the best teams, like I mentioned, Androids, Unireps, alongside Go Frieza. It's like, if you're able to run perfectly with Go Frieza, that just makes you easily a top tier unit, right? It's just crazy. I highly recommend everyone to try to get at least one copy of him whenever he's available. He recently returned on the LF Perfect Form Cell banner, and you don't understand how happy I was when I pulled not one, but 2 copies of this guy, and I pumped up the Z power. He's at 7 stars. I am so happy that I pulled this guy, and I strongly urge everyone to try to get a copy of him whenever he does return on any type of banner. It's hard to really recommend people to summon on shitty banners, but this guy, he's going to age really well, and if you're able to get him and get lucky, it's going to be definitely worth your investment, because he simply completes any team that you have. If you're missing a unit on any of your teams, this guy's like easily going to be your best option to just throw in there. So that's what we have LF17 at number 4. Now coming in at number 3, I have LF Super Saiyan Goku, the newly released LF. Now, this might be a controversial opinion, because a lot of people have him at either number 3 or number 2. I guess you could say spoiler, I have UVB at number 2 over LF Super Saiyan Goku. But this Super Saiyan Goku, he is really, 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 really good. I've been using him a lot recently to just grind up the ranks, because I haven't played PvP in a while, so I need to grind up the ranks, and I basically just use him. He's cracked, yo. He's really, really good. He's basically, a lot of people are comparing him to Ultra Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, but a strike-oriented version of him, because he has the charged unique gauge, he gets his vanish stuff, he gets his vanish recovery on strike and blast cards used, which is actually ridiculously good. You're able to refill your vanish pretty well, because he does have a really, really good combo potential, so you're able to get his vanish back up after using it pretty well. His main gives him vanish as well. You're able to combo for extremely long periods of time, and it's pretty comparable to even UVB's combo potential. I wouldn't say it's the same level as Ginyu's, because Ginyu's is ridiculous, but he does have the cover null, which allows him to continue those combos, right? He's also a really good sniper, of course, with his ultimate locking when gauge is full, which is extremely easy to fill up. Like, his charging unique gauge is easy to fill up. You're basically always going to have that 50% starting if you use a green card, so that works out pretty well. And his gauge just fills up easily. You just pop a green and you can start refilling it again, and it just works pretty damn well there. So that's a really good main ability. And his gauge, the one flaw, there's actually a couple flaws he has. One of them is having no type neutral. That's the first thing that people have pointed out, is having no type neutral, which I would say is his biggest flaw, because a lot of people consider having type neutrality, some way of getting type neutrality, as one of the better mechanics to have for a unit to age well. So we're gonna have to see how he performs. But he's also very fragile, having not the best amount of HP, which makes him easy to kill, even with UVB being at type disadvantage. Featured boost is definitely helping him out a bit defensively, so I'm honestly interested to see how he performs post boost. But for now, he's going to be top 3 on my list, and I'm sure a lot of people would probably disagree with the placement. They might want to have him placed a bit higher, but for me personally, I have him top 3. Now at number 2, we have Ultra Vegito Blue. Now I feel like me having Ultra VB on number 2 might sound like copium from a Fusion Warriors main or whatever the case may be, but I'm telling you, like, UVB, despite having so many blue units in the game, like, for me personally, UVB is still putting in the work, man. He's just that guy. There's really not much to say about this dude. Everyone hates facing this guy, and the devs, for whatever reason, wanted to once again try to counter Vegito instead of another problem which many people are encountering, Go Frieza, right? Everyone likes to say Go Frieza was basically the best unit in the game by a long shot, all this stuff, but when it comes to actually wanting a counter, they go immediately for UVB, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know why you want to counter UVB when Go Frieza does everything, right? So for me, that just indicates to me that UVB was pretty much number 1 prior to Super Saiyan Goku's release. Now I don't think there's really an argument for him being number 1, but it's just pretty funny to me, right? Even with all the blues, I still think Vegito still performs amazingly, which is crazy. You constantly, like I said, you constantly face double or even triple blue units, but UVB is just built different, man. He's just built different, and I personally think the meta is still ran by Go Frieza and UVB. Mainly Go Frieza, but UVB is not that far behind. Now, I will say I'm not currently in God rank right now. I'm not in top 1k, but I constantly, because of the skill-based matchmaking, I constantly go up against God rank players. I just get matched with them, so I get the same matchmaking experience as people that are in God rank, right? So Vegito Blue just still performs absolutely well. Obviously, granted, mine is at 14 stars, but I still go up against very high starting units, and he just performs well. So I have UVB at number 2. Might be a controversial opinion, might be me on copium, but I personally think that UVB is still that guy. Now coming over to number 1, we have, of course, Go Frieza. These guys are just stupid. At this point, I don't think there's a reason or an argument you can make for this guy not being number 1. Everyone knows what they do and why they're stupid. They've been dominating for a long time. I just don't get it. I don't get why they're not trying to counter these guys. I don't know how. I honestly don't know how they plan to deal with him. He's been running around for far too long, literally 3 months at this point, but the devs don't seem to see this, especially with everything they do, right? Having double color, especially blue and purple, both being the strongest colors in the meta right now. They simply do too much, and at this point, with Goku's release, they're unquestionably the best unit in the game. And like I said, I personally do not see an argument for anyone to take the throne from them right now. Like, unless we get a ridiculously strong yellow unit to pair alongside UVB, because yellow is going to be the color that really does damage to them. Because you have green, you can have green, but Goku is also purple, right? So if you're yellow, you could at least have type advantage over Goku and type neutrality against Frieza, right? So I think the next strong yellow unit will be what maybe dethrones them or whatever the case may be, but we'll have to see when the time comes. But for now, Go Frieza is going to be at number 1, and this is pretty undisputed, I think. So that's going to be pretty much the end of this tier list. Definitely, like I said in the beginning, definitely let me know what you guys agree with, what you disagree with, all that stuff. Drop a comment in the comment section below. I'm interested to know what you guys have to say. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. It's so important, so don't forget. All right, have a great day. See ya.